You walk into a forest. The birds go quiet. A deer freezes, stares at you for half a second, then vanishes into the trees. A crow on a fence post watches you until you pass, then shifts its weight and flies off. You didn't do anything. You didn't make a sound. You just showed up, and everything ran. Why? Most people assume it's instinct. Animals are prey. Humans are predators. It's just nature doing what nature does. But that answer is too simple. And the real answer is far stranger than you think. Because here's what the science actually shows. Animals don't just fear humans the way they fear lions or wolves. They fear humans differently, more deeply, more persistently, in ways that suggest something happened a very long time ago that permanently rewired the animal kingdom's relationship with your species. And it wasn't because you were the strongest. It wasn't because you were the fastest. It was because of something far more unsettling than either of those things. To understand it, you have to go back. Way back. Before cities. Before agriculture. Before fire was reliable and language was complex. Back to the version of you that walked out of Africa roughly 300,000 years ago and began doing something no animal had ever done before. You started hunting everything. Not selectively. Not occasionally. Everything. Across every continent your ancestors reached, the large animals vanished. Mammoths in North America, giant kangaroos in Australia, woolly rhinos across Eurasia. The pattern was so consistent, so tied to the arrival of early humans, that researchers gave it a name. Paul Martin, a geoscientist at the University of Arizona, called it the Pleistocene overkill hypothesis. His argument, first published in 1966 and refined over decades, was that the arrival of human hunters was the single most significant extinction event in the last 50,000 years. Not an asteroid, not a volcanic winter. Humans. And the animals that survived? They were the ones that learned to run. This is the first thing you need to understand. The fear you trigger in animals today is not a general fear of large creatures. A moose is larger than you. A bison outweighs you by 10 times. They fear you anyway. What they are responding to is a learned survival signal encoded into the nervous systems of every species that made it through the Pleistocene alongside your ancestors. You are not just a predator to them. You are the predator. The one that took the mammoths. The one that followed prey across ice sheets and through mountain passes and into valleys with no exits. The one that didn't stop. Researcher Liana Zanet at Western University has spent years studying what she calls the landscape of fear. In 2019, she and her colleagues ran an experiment that has since become one of the most cited studies in this space. They played recordings of different predators to animals across a large area of wilderness. Lions roaring, dogs barking, bears growling, and then human voices speaking conversationally, just talking. The animals reduced their feeding activity by 66% when they heard the human voices, more than they reduced it for any other predator, more than lions, more than bears, more than anything else on the planet. Let that settle for a moment. The sound of you talking casually was more frightening to those animals than the sound of a lion roaring. Zanet's conclusion was stark. Humans have become what she called a super predator, and the fear response we trigger has been selected for so strongly over such a long period of time that it now sits deeper in animal neurology than the fear of any other species alive. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Because this fear doesn't just affect behavior in the moment. It reshapes entire ecosystems. It changes where animals choose to live, when they choose to move, what they choose to eat. Arian Wallach, a conservation ecologist at the University of Technology, Sydney, has studied what happens when human presence is removed from an area. Animals begin to return to daytime activity. They explore spaces they had previously abandoned entirely. They stop avoiding areas near water, which they had been avoiding because water sources bring visibility, and visibility in the presence of humans means danger. The absence of you, in other words, restructures the entire behavior of an ecosystem. This is not something that happens with other predators. A wolf pack removed from an area doesn't produce this effect at the same scale. A tiger's territory, once cleared of tigers, rebounds faster and more completely than a human's does. What this tells researchers is that the pressure your species has applied to the animal kingdom is qualitatively different from anything else in evolutionary history. It isn't just predation. It is something closer to total environmental dominance. And here is the counterintuitive twist. This fear may be the reason so many species are still alive. Think about it this way. The animals that didn't develop a strong fear response to humans were the ones that got hunted to extinction. The ones standing in front of you right now, every deer, every fox, every hawk that watches you from a safe distance, are the descendants of individuals who were afraid enough, fast enough, cautious enough to survive. Your ancestors created a selection pressure so intense that it filtered the animal kingdom. What remained was a world shaped by fear of you. You didn't just affect animal populations, you affected animal evolution. Peter Artese, an ecologist at the University of British Columbia, has documented how this plays out even today in contemporary wildlife. Animals in areas with higher human activity show measurably different stress hormone profiles than animals in remote areas. Their cortisol levels stay elevated for longer. Their reproductive timing shifts. Their offspring are born more alert. The biological inheritance of living near humans is a nervous system tuned to threat. And it doesn't take generations. Zanette's research suggests that even animals with no prior exposure to human hunters react to human presence with elevated fear. The signal is that old, that persistent, that deeply written into the code, which brings you back to the forest, back to the moment the birds went quiet. That silence has a name now. Ecologists call it the human shield effect, the way your presence reshapes animal behavior across a radius that extends far beyond your immediate surroundings. Prey animals have learned that where humans are, large predators tend to be absent. So some species have actually adapted to use your presence as cover. Certain deer populations in North America stay closer to human settlements during hunting season, not because they feel safe with you specifically, but because they feel safer from mountain lions. You have become so dominant in the threat landscape that even your proximity is a variable other species are calculating. You are the apex of the apex, the predator other predators avoid. And yet, here you are, walking through a forest, probably wearing comfortable shoes, probably thinking about something completely unrelated to hunting, carrying no weapon, posing no immediate threat, and every animal within a quarter mile is already adjusting its behavior around your presence. Because evolution doesn't know about comfortable shoes. Evolution doesn't know you left the spear at home. Evolution only knows what has been true for 300,000 years. And what has been true for 300,000 years is this. When something shaped like you shows up, the safest thing to do is disappear. The birds didn't go quiet because you were dangerous today. They went quiet because something that looked exactly like you was dangerous yesterday, and the day before that, and for every yesterday stretching back further than memory goes. That silence in the forest isn't fear of you, exactly. It's fear of what you used to be, what your ancestors were, what the whole animal kingdom learned, generation by generation, in the hardest way possible. You walk into a forest, the birds go quiet. And for a moment, without knowing it, you are carrying 300,000 years of history on your shoulders. The silence around you is its echo, and it will outlast every comfortable shoe, every paved road, every century of distance you put between yourself and the version of you that started all of this. The animal kingdom remembers. Even when you have forgotten,